Jefferson County Clerk Bobbie Holsclaw, and we're here to talk about President's Day 2022. Now, Bobbie, it's kind of a trick question for some people, but who is your favorite president or presidents or someone that sticks out in your mind as a great political leader of our time?
I think my favorite president was probably President Ronald Reagan. But my very, very favorite never made it as president, and that was Senator Bob Dole. I think of anybody that should have been president, he should have, and unfortunately he didn't make it. I can't tell you what a great leader he was. He knew how the Senate ran. He knew how to make things pass, and he was willing to work with everybody. I think he was known to be so stern, but Senator Dole was not that way. He had such a great sense of humor. And I tell you what, if anybody I think that should have been president, it should have been Senator Dole.
Yeah, that was the first presidential campaign I had an opportunity to work on, and I'd met Senator Dole several times, and he was just very nice, very polite. He would sit and talk. How did you meet Senator Dole? Tell us that story.
Well, you know how you make friends, and one friend knows somebody. I was working in another campaign, and I met a fellow by the name of Howard Green. And Howard Green at the time worked the Senate floor. But when the Republicans won, they promoted him to be over the Senate floor, totally over. He was secretary at the time for the minority he became. And we were friends. Our friendship grew. And at the time, I was working at the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Louisville. And I was offered a job in Washington, D.C. to work for Senator Dole and Howard Green.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I had 4 children, Jeff, and all of them at that point, the last one had graduated from high school. And as crazy as it was, I thought, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Years ago, when we made our first trip to Washington, D.C., I fell in love with it. I fell in love with Washington, D.C. The Capitol was beautiful, the buildings, the museums. To me, it was just wonderful. And I just loved it so when I had that opportunity, I had a hard time passing it up. So I took a risk and I went, and it ended up being a great adventure. All of my sons had jobs in the summer. It became a real family thing. And to be able to watch so closely, because I had an office in the Capitol. I worked also on the Senate floor. My son had already been up there. He worked in, if you're familiar with what's called the Republican cloakroom, as there is a Democrat cloakroom. And that's where all the senators go when they're not on the floor. It was an opportunity of a lifetime for him. He went up there on an internship, and he never came home. And now he's been up there 30 years.
Wow.
He isn't with the Senate. He has a business of his own. And, we're so proud of him and all that he's done. But it was an opportunity of a lifetime to be able to watch how the Senate worked every day. It was an eye-opener. Sometimes a lot of things I loved, and then I found out there were things that I didn't love. I left simply because I knew it wasn't a place that I wanted to retire. It wasn't that I had lost my job or anything, but I knew that Louisville was my home, and that's where I wanted to go. So I spent almost 5 years in Washington, D.C., and I treasure the memories, truly treasure them.
Yeah, I remember when Senator Dole, he came in for your campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I was a real underdog. It was 1999, really 98. And I was never supposed to win the clerk's race. And being that when I was home, I moved back home, and my son was still there and had formed a real friend relationship with Senator Dole. And he mentioned one day to him, I'd give anything if you'd come to Louisville and campaign for my mom. never, ever dreaming this man would do it. Well, sure enough, a plane landed and he got off. And I can't tell you how much to this day I appreciate what he did for me, because it was so hard for me to raise money. No name recognition, a countywide race as a Republican. What chance did I have? And he coming into town raised me enough money that I could get on television. And I owe him so much. And it broke my heart when he passed away.
Yeah, and something about Senator Dole I really appreciated. The past 4 years, to say the least, have been in politics exciting. But he stood by President Trump when a lot of Republicans didn't.
He sure did.
And everyone said Dole was an establishment man. I think Dole was a loyal Republican.
He
and
was
we need
a
more people
true
like him.
Republican. He loved the party. He was so dedicated to his job. I can't even begin to explain to anybody what it meant to him in his life. He has a tremendous story too. He didn't have any feeling in his one arm. He actually had enrolled to be a doctor, and that's what his parents had wanted. And he went into the military when he lost use of that arm. So that kind of put him out of that, and then he went into politics. I used to go in his office, and if you'd see some of the things that he had in there from the war, things that he had when he was in the hospital for so long, he had an amazing story.
Okay, so do you want to tell us about Ronald Reagan and your first impressions?
Well, everybody loved Ronald
Yeah,
Reagan.
well, it's kind of like it's like BC, before Christ, and after Christ. It's like before Reagan, after Reagan. The Reagan Revolution really spawned the conservative movement in the United States.
Well, I loved Ron. I think everybody really did. I think Democrats and Republicans both respected Ronald Reagan. He had a way about him that was very friendly. He was very, very intelligent. What was there not to really like? I know some people may not have liked some of the bills that he may have supported, but Ronald Reagan was always a fair man. Things that he said and did, I still remember to this day. He would have quotes of things that he would do that were totally amazing to me. I really hated to see him go. I'm not sure in today's world that his type of politics would have survived. Politics today is so different than it was back in those days.
As a kid, I remember the day he got shot,
Oh,
and I always liked Reagan. I was always kind of into politics a little bit, but imagine and when we're doing our special on the presidency, we're going to talk about JFK and play some speeches from him. And I was thinking about the times we live in, and everything is really intense. But then if you look back, the assassination of a president has to be one of the most traumatic experiences in the United States. Can you tell me about what you remember about JFK's assassination?
well, I wasn't involved in politics then, but I certainly remember that. And I can tell you, I think the world almost stopped at that point, in that day when that happened. It was devastating to everybody. People took politics out of it, and I think everyone mourned the loss of John Kennedy. He's another man. I think he was made to be in politics. I think he was a good president. President Kennedy worked at both sides. He was willing to listen and give in some, and where they don't do that anymore. It was about the people back then. Now it's about parties.
Well, too, he would be considered a conservative Democrat.
I don't think he'd be real happy today. But that's just my own personal opinion.
But yeah, it strikes me just the uncertainty that would be going through society, because I wasn't even born yet, but I could only imagine how horrible.
It was terrible. And not that I really knew the man, but everybody did respect him, I think. And he did have a story. Those two small children when he died, and of course his wife, it was It was terrible, and I do really believe everything just stopped when that happened. I don't think anybody could even believe what went on.
Yeah, it's amazing. One gunman can change the course of world history.
Well, I think about the Kennedys a lot, even to this day, particularly their mother, Rose Kennedy, the sorrow that she had in her life, and how many of her children that she buried, and all the money in the world, but yet it never brought the happiness that it really a sad, sad story.
Yeah, it's really sad. So you being a lifelong Republican, so
Hmm.
we're looking towards 2024. Well, I guess we got to get through the midterms first.
Let's get through
Yeah,
2022.
yeah,
That's
2022. But the way things, if the election were held today, I'm sure the Republicans would do really well on the House and Senate side and the presidency. What do you see as like the biggest issues now? We're kind of coming out of the COVID pandemic. We
Are
have
we talking about
inflation.
here locally?
Yeah, yeah, locally and nationally.
I
We'll talk
think
about local first. Yeah, go ahead.
locally, I think the things that people are looking at is safety. I think they're very upset over what has gone on and how it's been the response to that. Um, Education, I think, is important. The schools, parents are very concerned about their children and what is going on in the schools. I think those things probably are the most important to the voter right now. Number one being safety here in Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville it's gotten bad, the crime.
Oh, well, it really saddens me because I hear so many people say, "Oh, I'm going to move out of Louisville," and I think it bothers me so because I know what a beautiful city Louisville has been, all that it's had to offer, and I just pray. I mean this sincerely that can all come back, because Louisville's a beautiful city, and great restaurants, so much to offer, and we've allowed this what has happened in the last 2 years to take that down.
Well, I think part of it, without getting too deep, is
No,
we need an opposition party. We need a Republican Party where you have council members running in every district that are recruiting candidates, raising money, that have a ground game. And it seems like that part of the equation has been missing in local politics for so long.
well, and I'm anxious to see what they will do this time. This is the opportunity to make that a diverse group of people. And it truly needs to be that way. I think when one party leads for so long, and you have the problems that you have to look at it. And I'm not saying Democrats are bad people. There are a lot of great Democrats out there. But the philosophy today for the party is not what it was when John Kennedy was president.
Yeah, or even when Bill Clinton was president. I
No,
think it's changed a
it's
lot.
changed since
You
Bill
know.
Clinton was president. So, I'm anxious to see where people truly are, with their beliefs and what they're going to do about it. We've had the same party run. Jefferson County as a Republican is very hard to win. We have over 600,000 registered voters, and over 300,000 are Democrats, and we have 200 and some odd thousand Republicans. So it's not easy, but maybe people are looking at it and seeing a different side, and that's my hope.
Hmm.
There's good in the Republican
Well,
Party.
having you at the top of the ticket's going to help.
Oh, I don't know about
Uh,
that. I've never had a pass. I've always had opposition. This time, more candidates than there's ever been. But, I'm going to run on my record, Jeff, and I hope it's been good enough that people will recognize it. And I'd like to have just 4 more years if I can. I'd like to have my retirement years, but we'll see what happens. I'll be working hard to keep it here. The clerk's office has truly been a love for me. I don't know what I would do without it.
A couple of things about the clerk's office I wanted to
Hmm.
get into. Real quick, there's a lot of talk about election integrity.
You're right.
That's a huge topic.
I can't
Uh,
begin to tell you how huge.
and so, usually my response to people is like, well, I'm in Louisville and I have Bobbie Holsclaw as my county clerk, so I'm
Okay.
not really worried
Thank you,
because I
Jeff.
know you're diligent in your duty. What steps has the clerk's office taken? Anything that's different in the past couple of years, or
You know, the
get your
clerk's
take on that?
office, yes, as a county clerk, I'm over elections and I'm chairperson for the Board of Elections. But I think a lot of people think that we design the elections, but we don't do any of that. We only follow the directions of the legislature. They make the laws for elections, and our job is to follow those laws. And the things have changed. A lot of early voting, much more mail-in ballots, and with a county this size, it is difficult and it's very expensive.
Now, kind of my next question is the county clerk's office is multifaceted, and people don't understand. I don't quite understand. I've known you a long time. What all does the clerk's office do? So you take care of voting and
Well, yes,
registered vehicles?
number one is taking care of making sure that we always have a fair election. And as long as I'm clerk, I can promise you there will be integrity in the voting. But we license every car out there. Every time you pass a car, there's a license plate on there. Some expired, some not, but we do renew all of motor vehicles. We service all the dealers in Jefferson County for all the cars that they sell. So that is a huge division here. And then we have the legal records department, and that department handles all of mortgages, deeds, any type of recordings. We do marriage license here, notaries. We had Valentine's Day, the 14th, and of course, you know, it was busy down here. People wanting to get married on Valentine's Day. So we collect delinquent property taxes. I don't think most people realize how much responsibility there is in this office.
But you don't issue driver's license, correct?
I do not issue driver's license, and I do not have voting equipment that's hooked to the internet.
Excellent.
No internet. A paper trail for everybody. We keep those paper trails, and believe me, we take good care of you.
Well, I sure appreciate your time, and it's been insightful, and it's always a pleasure.
Well, Jeff, thank you for asking me to. I've enjoyed it, and I'm always happy to see you.
Is there anything else you want to add this President's Day?
Oh, no, other than I think we've been very fortunate to have the presidents that we've had in the past.
So thank you so much, and God bless you, Bobbie, and God bless America.
And God bless you.
Thank you, hon.